Okay, so I have really enjoyed this course a lot. One of my favorite things about doing family history is the connections. I am driven to names, and that's one way that I try to make connections. If I see, some children, named Henry in a family, um, and I'm looking for a parent, I'm more likely to zero in on a potential Henry because of the name connection. That's one of my just something that I just love to do. I hope that makes sense. But when my husband and I first got married, um, almost 24 years ago, we got married in California and immediately moved to Texas. He was from Texas. And I have ancestors that were born and raised and lived their lives in Texas. And so, about 4 days after we got married, we traveled to Texas and visited a couple of family cemeteries. And one that we visited, we were just walking around looking at the grave markers. And, imagine, 4 day newlywed couple, the world is very exciting. And we were looking at these grave markers and we saw one with the name Christelle. And we immediately, both of us said, "Oh, love that name. We would love to name one of our daughters Christelle one day." And so we did when our second child was Christelle. And so here we see the name Christelle. And, to us, it was just a grave marker with a really pretty name. And so this is our daughter, Christelle. She's on a mission right now in Montevideo, Uruguay. And when I was doing research for this class, I was looking at my great grandmother right here. And her sister, I was looking at her sister's family, and there I see Christelle, and there I see the real Christelle. That's the spelling that we actually used for our daughter. And sadly, I look at this great aunt of mine, and her babies just didn't get to live for very long. She had one that lived about 80 years, but the rest of her children all died. And so it's kind of sweet too. So I got excited looking here and seeing this name. And so I sent it to my daughter out on her mission. And then I also went to find a grave and I found the grave marker. And there's the name Christelle that caught our eye. And I knew when we saw the grave marker that it had to be a relative because it was a family cemetery, but I was never able to reconnect and find who in our family was actually named Christelle. So I thought that was a really wonderful experience. And just, it was really meaningful to see that, this name, which is not a very common name, was used by my husband and I, and it really did come from family.